And tonight we tell the story of the heroism of Vashti and Esther and Mordecai, and how they overcame that wicked, wicked man. As we say, he who shall not be named. And this evening, we'll start with some Purim songs and some reading of the Megillah, and then we'll move into our Purim Shpiel. Before we get started, let me remind you that you can still sign up for our drive-through Purim Carnival on Sunday, and you can sign up on the temple website, or you could even register right there at the carnival. And Rabbi Gorban, take it away.
Hello, everyone. We're going to begin with one of our Purim favorites. Hopefully you all have dressed up to celebrate, and this is our normal parade song. So if you are dressed up, parade around whatever room you're in and dance as we sing. Ani Purim, Sameach U'Vadeach, Halo Raka Ambashana Avo Leitareach, La 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 la. Ani Purim, Sameach U'Vadeach, Halo Raka Ambashana Avo. Continue with a song about that wicked, wicked man. Continue with a song about that wicked, wicked man.
Got it. Feel God in the Christian house. Oh, okay. This song tells the story of Purim. So you may want to get your groggers ready, because we're going to need them when we say Amen. Oh, whoops. I must have played that in a different key earlier. There we go. Oh, once there was a wicked, wicked man, and Haman was his name, sir. He was mean to all the Jews, though they were not to blame, sir. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And nash some Hamantashen. Now, King Ahasuerus was such a silly ruler. When Vashti wouldn't dance for him, he lost his fragile temper. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And nash some Hamantashen. To find a queen to rule with him, he held a beauty contest. Women came from all the land, and Esther was the best. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And nash some Hamantashen. So Esther was the lovely queen of King Ahasuerus. When Haman said he'd hurt us all, oh my, how he did scare us. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Latke-Hamantash. Now, Esther had a cousin, and his name was Mordecai. He asked her, can you help us? And she said, of course I'll try. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Latke-Hamantash. When Esther, speaking to the king of Haman's plot, made mention, aha, said he, oh no, he won't, I'll spoil his bad intention. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Latke-Hamantash. In spite of Haman's awful plan and the scare that he gave us, Esther was so brave and strong, she knew just how to save us. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Latke-Hamantash. Let's do that together. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. Oh, today will Mary, Mary be. And Latke-Hamantash.
Laura, you need to mute your YouTube. We're
Okay, so
hearing
there's
the
a
sound
problem that I
twice.
have, like.
Well, we are just about ready for our Megillah reading, but first we need to get our bodies a little bit ready, and we need to remember what kind of hats we have that have 3 corners, okay? So, La kova sheli, shalosh pinot, la kova sheli, lule hayulo, shalosh pinot, lo hayaze hakova sheli. Try that with me now and maybe a little bit faster. La kova sheli, shalosh pinot, la kova sheli, lule hayulo, shalosh pinot, lo hayaze hakova sheli. Ready to take out a word? We're going to take out kova. La sheli, shalosh pinot, la sheli, lule hayulo, shalosh pinot, lo hayaze ha sheli. Let's take out shalosh next. La sheli, pinot, la sheli, lule hayulo, pinot, lo hayaze ha sheli. And now comes out sheli. La pinot, la sheli, lule hayulo, pinot, lo hayaze ha. Now we're going to take out pinot. La lule hayulo, lo hayaze. All of the words now. Now with all of the words, last time. La kova sheli, shalosh pinot, la kova sheli, lule hayulo, shalosh pinot, lo hayaze hakova sheli. Nice job, everyone.
And now we're getting ready for the Megillah reading. We're going to have Rabbi Gorban and Cantor Berman each chant a little bit from the Megillah. And don't forget to make noise. Also, don't forget to mute yourself when you make noise.
Okay, we are just about there, and here we go. With our blessing first, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu likro et ha-Megillah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who makes us holy with mitzvot and commands us to read the Megillah. And shehechianu, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. You gave us life, you sustained us, and you brought us to this moment. Vayhi bimei Achashverosh, hu Achashverosh, hamolech mehodu ve'ad kush, sheva v'esrim u'mea medina, bayamim hahem keshevet hamelech Achashverosh, al kiseh malchuto, asher b'shushan habira, bishnat shalosh limolcho, asa mishteh lechol sarav v'avadav, chel paras umadai, apartemim v'sarei hamedinot lefanav.
Bayom ahu Natan Hamelech Achashverosh Lester Hamalka Et Bet Haman Tzorer Hayudim Umordechai Balifnei Hamelech Ki Higeda Esther Maula Vayasar Hamelech Et Tabato Asher Havir, ready? Me Haman. Vayitna leMordechai, Vatasem Esther, Et Mordechai al Beit Haman. Vatosef Esther, Vatidaber lifnei Hamelech, Vatipol lifnei Raglav, vatitchanen lo lehavir et ra'at Haman ha'agagi ve'et ma chashavto asher chashav al haYehudim. Vayoshet Hamelech leEsther et Sarvit hazahav, vatakom Esther vatamod lifnei Hamelech. Vatomer im al Hamelech tov, im matzati chen lefanav, v'chasher hadavar lifnei Hamelech, v'tovani ani be'enav, yikatev lahashiv et hasefarim, ma chashevet Haman, ben hamedata ha'agagi, Asher chatav le'abed et haYehudim asher b'chol medinot hamelech. Ki echacha uchal v'ra'iti bara'a asher yimsa et ami, ve'echacha uchal v'ra'iti be'ovdan moladeti. So first of all, without too much ado, there have our Purim Shpiel this year is Frozoom, and you'll recognize some special Zoom effects as we went. Like everything on going through the technology, it's been a little challenging this year. So we have a number of people we really want to thank. So you'll see on your screen some of those people. You'll see Darcy Gordon as Esther, Anya Epstein as Vashti, Mike Gordon as King Achashverosh, Michael Butler as Haman, with a little stand-in because Haman had a little mishap. Rabbi Sarah Perlman as Mordechai, and our ensemble, Aya Bietensky, Joanna Butler, Flo Chapman, Toby Chapman, Rachel Kalura, Gina Fayola, Laura Fell, Rachel Goldblatt, and Esther Nathanson, and Natalie Sumetsky. There are multiple heroes in the Purim story. One of my personal heroes right now is Tammy Prine, who really helped us get up and running today. Our accompanist is Ellen Keeney. And you are most welcome to use your groggers when Haman comes up. Our Purim Shpiel tells the story of Purim through the music of Frozen. So at this point, let me see if I can share this.
Welcome to Shushan in your home. We're here on Zoom to say shalom. We're glad to see you this Adar 14. We'll tell of an emergency in Shushan, an insurgency that was stopped by Mordecai and our new queen.
It started without worry. Pharaoh was the king. But what happened is the reason we all sing. And the story is the reason. Shushan is a place we know, where Ahasuerus and his kingdom were nearly turned to ice and snow. It was Haman, the king's advisor, who said all the Jews would pay the thanks to Mordecai and Esther. We celebrate today.
I, Ahasuerus, am king of 127 countries, from Hodu to Cush, from Squirrel Hill North to Squirrel Hill South, and from where Isleys used to be to where Poli's used to be. Shushan is our capital. Now, during my supreme reign as king, I made a feast for all my officers and for the nobles, officers, and armies of Persia and Media. I wanted to show the treasures of my kingdom and the greatness of my rule. But I acted, well, in an embarrassingly unkind manner to my wife, the queen, in front of rulers from all over the land.
It started with a week-long party, me with the women, him with the men. When the king said, Vashti, dance before my friends. But I said no and I refused. I'm a strong woman who can't be used. So the king said, don't come back again. But I'm a smart and able woman. I won't let it hold me back. Just 'cause he's a megalomaniac.
This story is the reason. Shushan is a place we know, when Ahasuerus and his kingdom were nearly turned to ice and snow. It was Haman, the king's advisor, who said all the Jews would pay, thanks to Mordecai and Esther. We celebrate today.
I cannot believe the king wanted me to perform in front of his friends. Oh, who does he think I am, ordering me around like that? I guess quarantine really changed him. Oh, what am I gonna do? Is this the man to whom I pledge devotion? This change of character I'd not foreseen. Tonight he asked that I perform in an unladylike uniform that's totally beneath me as a woman and as a queen. Oh goodness. The king does not care what's proper. He only wants to cater to his base. I deserve respectfulness. Instead, I get neglectfulness and orders that will leave me in disgrace. I will call Stacey Abrams. She knows how to change the status quo. I miss RBG, a hero for equality, despite those who hindered her as a dynamo. Oh, goodness gracious, what am I gonna do? wait. I'll be the best Vashti that I'm able. I'll use my talent's brain and common sense. If being queen means that I adhere to him being my puppeteer, well, I'm out of here. My promise for the future is immense. Toodaloo.
And now from Shushan, Vashti was gone. The king was without company. Hope of a new queen could not be seen. I think he needs to change up the scene and attract a bride who knows how to use a green screen.
Sire, by not doing as you have ordered, Queen Vashti has done wrong, not only to the king, but to all of the people in all of the king's countries. Such chutzpah. If this gets around, there's no telling what others might do. They might want to listen to those you don't want them to listen to and make decisions for themselves, and maybe even run for president or vice president of the land. What? It's already been done? Oh. Well, Your Highness, now that Vashti is left, we will help you find a new queen. We will search throughout your kingdom for an appropriate replacement.
Sounds like a plan. I will choose this year a new queen, who's kind and will not scoff. Someone just like Kamala, a phenomena, but her husband's dug him off. A queen who can be funny, Mary Tyler Moore, or even Samantha Bee. Maybe I should hang a shingle. I wish that Tina Fey were single, just like me. If I choose this year a new queen, she'll shine just like a star. Hey, Barbara Streisand or Melinda Gates, your dear awaits, or Amy Klobuchar. A queen like Stacey Abrams or Taylor Swift, a partner who knows the score. I know my queen will wear a long robe and get respect from around the globe, like Judge Sotomayor. When I choose this year a new queen, one from Pittsburgh could be fun. She'll teach me what a gum band is, or what is yins, or in Shushan what needs done. Christina Aguilera, I hear that she grew up there in Wexford too. But I guess if you are listening and know that Shushan is transitioning, it could be you.
Now, there was a Jewish man in Shushan whose name was Mordecai, son of Yair, son of Shimi, son of Kish, related to Kenish, I suppose. He had raised Hadassah, also known as Esther, ever since her parents died. When the king was searching for a new queen on Tinder, Bumbles, Match.com, just everywhere, Esther was among the many young women who responded to him, but Mordecai told Esther to keep her background a secret from the king. Ahasuerus liked Esther very, 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 very much and decided that she would be his choice as the new queen.
All my life there's been a harem of women for me, but then suddenly I bump into her. She's all I've ever wanted, someone smart, kind, and good.
And she's even vaccinated, so no COVID transfer. With her, we'll rule the land. It will be unlike anything that we've seen. Esther, please be my queen. And you have the vaccine. Esther, please quarantine with me, with me. Won't you be my queen?
I'll think about it.
Say what?
Cousin Morty, I know you've always cared for me. You adopted me, became my family. I don't know how to tell you the king has chosen me as queen, as royalty.
He can't know that you're a Jew through and through. Hide your past by using a smokescreen. Esther, you'll be queen. All my adrenaline runs high, runs high. Esther, you'll be queen.
Esther, will you marry me?
With my family's blessing, I will.
The king makes me so angry.
Yeah, he's good to all his subjects and lets the people of his kingdom carry on their lives, even if they have different traditions than we have.
That's right. Why should anyone be allowed to be different than we are?
So, as royal guards, what do you think we should do about him?
Do you think we get caught if we throw him into the river?
Euphrates?
No, I'm not even worried.
Once by sitting by the gate, Mordecai heard talking. Two of the king's most valued guards were mad at the king and were mocking. They made a plot to kill the king, get rid of him, and change everything. Mordecai would save the king. He told Esther, who told the king in the name of Mordecai. It's a coup. Let's subdue, or they'll break through.
I'll readjust to someone I trust. Haman served me loyally. I'll promote him, I'm convinced, higher than any prince.
Haman was mad and said, what'd he do?
I'll fix that man, Mordecai the Jew. I'll punish him and his faith too. For the days lost will be cast. Adar 14, their last.
So now, through Esther, Mordecai has gotten word to the king about the plot of the guards. The king ordered that the guards be, shall we say, iced. And record was made in the king's private record book. Shaken by the threat to his life, the king promoted Haman to be his top officer and ordered that all the palace guards bow before him. But Mordecai, the Jew, like Hebrew national, answered to a higher authority and refused. This angered Haman immensely, and Haman vowed to rid the kingdom of Mordecai and of the entire Jewish people. Let's listen.
I'm the king's designee, so now they'll all bow down to me, everyone upon their knee in Shushan. I'll command respect, but Mordecai, I'll snap his neck if he won't bow or genuflect in Shushan. As I walk by, bows and curtsies will be protocol, and I'll finally get to call the shots in Shushan and Persia all. And all of the Jews at their Elanis and Baruchus will gladly bow to you-know-who in Shushan. And if I hear one word from the powers that be, I'll toss them into the Allegheny. And if you don't like what you hear, I'll simply make you disappear. And I'll be glad to send the whole executive board on a one-way cruise up the nearest ford. But it would be a plus to think of the Jews as superfluous. And I'll rid us all of their Mishenagas in Shushan. In Shushan.
Haman was talking about sounded like both. I listened when Amanda Gorman spoke words about being nice, and they were inspired by Micah, a prophet of the Hebrew Bible. He said, and so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first. We must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all of the bridges we've made, that in the promise to glade, the hill we climb only if we dare. Well, I dare. I just don't understand why some people don't seem to pay attention. It's important to be a good listener and also to act. Maybe let it go is right for other things, but not for this.
Ah, my good man Haman, come in. You may approach the throne and tell me, what is on your mind?
They are known as the Jews. They have their own laws, feasts, customs, traditions. They have no place here, in my view. If it pleases you, dear king, let me crush them and deliver their silver to you. Just give me your ring, and they'll know that the king gives his blessing. They'll soon be taboo. Give me your blessing, they'll soon be taboo.
Just do whatever you want with the people. Oh, and keep the silver too. You have my trust, and here's my ring to seal the edict.
Now scribes come by and start writing. Write this in the king's good name, that the Jews, young and old, men, women, and kids, will be frozen, and he'll be to blame. So let it be read in each province, each square, and on every tree, that a day has been chosen to freeze out the Jews. Adar 14 is when it will be. The day of my evil decree.
This is positively chilling. How could our king be swayed by the evil Haman? And does the king even know that his beloved Esther is among those who will be frozen out of the kingdom? I must get word to her that the king has been snowed by.
I will speak with Ahasuerus about Mordecai. I'll see that he's frozen and I will be chosen. My power will multiply. I can't control it deep in my soul. It's a hatred so complete. I'll see that Mordecai is gone and I will have won with my deceit.
Mordecai saved my life?
Your Highness, I think you should have your servants bring this most loyal man a royal robe and a crown, and have him ride on one of your horses throughout the city square. Then all of Shushan will know that he is to be regarded most highly.
Excellent. Haman, please take this robe and a crown and a horse, as you have said, and do all of this for Mordecai. Everyone should know this is what is done for the man whom the king wants to honor.
Your Highness, my husband, there is something I must tell you. I feel a breeze in Shushan tonight, thinking of Adar 14. The Jews will be Haman's victims, and I must intervene. Ahasuerus, you think Haman's a good man. You don't know the evil that's in his plan. Don't let him win, don't let him be. This evil man should be an absentee. Listen to me, you have to know. Haman must go. Just say no to our foe. Put Haman face down in the snow. His heart is cold, below zero. With him there'll be no tomorrow. You won't believe what's up Haman's sleeve. You have to know that Haman and his evil plot have to go. You gave Haman power, never knowing what he would do. Haman played a game of lots to pick a date to kill the Jews. The time has come, time to reveal how I'll use my power to appeal. No longer calm with mouth closed tight. I'll do what's right, just say no to our foe. Put Haman face down in the snow. His heart is cold, below zero. With him there'll be no tomorrow. You won't believe what's up Haman's sleeve. You have to know. I humbly ask to spare my life, that is my plea. And that of all my people from this criminal decree. I am a Jew, and of that statement I am proud. Save my people now, I sing to you out loud. Everybody together, just say no to our foe. Put Haman face down in the snow. His heart is cold, below zero. With him there'll be no tomorrow. So evil king, you are born to be. Make Haman go. Ahasuerus, don't be a schmo.
What? I
I've been snowed. That cold-blooded Haman has used my name to declare this chilling plan to freeze out the Jews. Guards, freeze him.
But now, your highness, my husband, how can we reverse the decree that was delivered throughout your kingdom from Hodu to Kush? From where Isley's used to be to where Poli's used to be, from Moon to Mars, from Dantan to Sliberty.
My dear Esther, here is my ring. You and the trusted Mordecai may use it to seal a new decree reversing the first.
Haman is gone, thanks to our king, who listened to Esther and used his ring to defend and seal protection for the Jews.
The announcement went throughout the land that Jews would be saved from what was planned, and a joyous holiday would be the news. The very day we dreaded, the day of our defeat, was turned upside down into a day so sweet. And the story is the reason Shushan is a place we know, where Ahasuerus and his kingdom were nearly turned to ice and snow. It was Haman, the king's advisor, who said all the Jews would pay. But thanks to Mordecai and Esther, we celebrate today.
Haman is gone, thanks to our king, who listened to Esther and used his ring to defend and seal protection for the Jews.
The announcement went throughout the land that Jews would be saved from what was planned, and a joyous holiday would be the news. The very day we dreaded, the day of our defeat, was turned upside down into a day so sweet. And the story is the reason Shushan is a place we know, where Ahasuerus and his kingdom were nearly turned to ice and snow. It was Haman, the king's advisor, who said all the Jews would pay. But thanks to Mordecai and Esther, we celebrate today.
Announce to the Jews on Adar 14, turn your sorrow to joy, not in between. A day for light and joy and dignity. We'll feast and story, we'll all read. Give food to our friends, to all who need. Eat Hamantash and happy and carefree.
Wow. Again, I have so many people I want to thank. And again, thank you all, first of all, for dealing with the technical difficulties of trying to put something like this together, where we want to feel like we're all in one place, yet we're not. So thank you to Darcy Gordon, Anya Epstein, Mike Gordon, and Michael Butler, and Rabbi Sarah Perlman, who brought us in with the final words for Purim, some of which come from the Megillah itself. From our thank you also to our ensemble and narrators, Aya Butensky, Joanna Butler, Flo Chapman, and Toby Chapman, Rachel Kalura, Gina Faola, Laura Felt, Rachel Goldblatt, Esther Nathanson, and Natalie Sumetsky. Tammy Prine is a superhero for today, for tonight, and for all of Purim. Please give her your accolades. I'll be giving her some more than that. And Ellen Keeney is our accompanist. So we want to turn our attention now to another favorite of Purim, our Latke-Hamantash debate. First of all, Chag Purim, or Chag Purim Sameach, Happy Purim to all of you. And on behalf of Temple Sinai, I welcome you to what is a beloved, even though a relatively new event here in Pittsburgh, and one that's become, shall we say, baked in to the community. And that's our Latke-Hamantash debate. So if we haven't met before, I'm Cantor Laura Berman, and this evening, when we're not able to congregate in person, I'm honored this year to offer a wonderful idea of Tammy's to include many of the highlights, or several of the highlights from our past 4 years of debates. So if you don't know about it, the Latke-Hamantash debate was originated 75 years ago by the University of Chicago Hillel. And it continues as a well-loved annual event and has spread throughout the land, as we might say. Thankfully, I was introduced to it years ago and was delighted the Temple Sinai embraced this idea when I wanted to bring it to Pittsburgh. And if this is your very first Latke-Hamantash debate, what you're going to hear is our debaters consider, from the perspective of their area of scholarship, the savory potato pancake that's associated with Hanukkah compared to the traditional tri-cornered fruit-filled cookie that is enjoyed on Purim. So I invite you to get comfortable, get ready to be entertained, whoopsie, and get ready to laugh some more as we present to you the Latke-Hamantash debate highlights reel.
She's a radio and TV talk show host in Pittsburgh. Most recently, she's been hosting an internet radio talk show on the Pittsburgh City Paper's website. She's a regular panelist on WQED. She's been a regular on numerous other TV and radio stations and has numerous awards to her credit, including an Emmy, 4 Golden Quills for journalistic excellence from the Pittsburgh Press Club, 3 Pennsylvania Associated Press Broadcaster Awards for feature reporting. The YWCA has honored her for her rigorous work against racism and bigotry. She has numerous other honors and awards, including Best Talk Show Host and Person of the Year in Communications. She attended the Neighborhood Playhouse School of the Theater in New York City, Northwestern University, and the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where she received a degree in journalism. She also received the Printer's Devil Award from Women in Communications for her ability to see humor in the world and to puncture the pompous among us. So watch out.
I generally don't look good in hats, but who the heck looks good in that? Really? All right. Not that I'm complaining, but I want the record to show that those misguided souls arguing Hamantashen's case have a decided home field advantage because this is Purim, right? It ain't Hanukkah. I'm just saying. I come to praise the potato pancake. A delicious and versatile dish made from one of God's greatest creations, the potato. Entire economies have been based on the potato. People have lived by the potato. And people have died tragically for want of the potato. You can't say that about Hamantash. Ask any school kid. You can use a potato to make a clock, right? A potato can create electricity to power a small appliance. Try that with a Hamantash. And the Latke has been honored by having a beloved television character named after it. Latke Gravis. Latke Gravis, portrayed by the inimitable Andy Kaufman on Taxi. I'm just saying, your Hamantashen has not been given the same standing in our popular culture. And that means something. Don't ask me what. But enough about the extraordinary utility of the potato. And on to the wonders of the simple pancake made from it. Here is a food that with one bite takes you on a multifaceted, sensual trip of pure pleasure. Start with the intoxicating aroma alone, as the nose is first rewarded. And the nose knows that something wondrous must await. And then it comes with that first crunchy bite that delights the ear and the tongue, followed close behind by a swoon-inducing creaminess of the interior, with the addition of a dollop of sour cream or applesauce. You flirt dangerously with sensory overload. And the versatility of the latke. I have had latkes for breakfast. I have had latkes for lunch. I have had latkes as a side dish for dinner. And I have had latkes as an hors d'oeuvre at the fanciest catered affairs. Hamantaschen? I'm just saying. And let's get a little historical here. Because we Jews have, in the past, had to pack our bags rather quickly, right? And get out of Dodge. I just want to point out that latkes are pancake flat, easier to pack, and stack up nicely with matzah, another food we Jews learned to pack at short notice. Hamantaschen? I'm sorry, bulky. Take up too much space and offer too little nutrition. Not good survival food for the Jews. And then from history, let's move to science. The latke is round. The Hamantaschen is a triangle. I hate to get geometric on you, but spheroids are better than triangles. Let's say we're making our getaway. We're on the run with our latkes and matzah on our backs. And the Egyptians, or ICE, closing in. What do? We circle the wagons. Because circles do not have a weak spot. They strengthen our common defense. Triangles? Not so much. So here again, the spherical latke outperforms the triangulated Hamantaschen. And just one more obvious thing. Hamantaschen is meant to be representative of Haman's hat. And that's interesting. Because there is an expression that we all know about eating hats, right? When something is so ludicrous, so not going to happen, like Donald Trump being elected, for instance, you would say, if Donald Trump is elected, I'm gonna eat my hat, right? But strangely, this bizarre custom of Hamantaschen is actually about eating hats. And not just any hat. The hat of one of the nastiest, slimiest villains in Jewish history. Seriously, you think it makes any sense to celebrate Queen Esther's courage by eating the hat that sat on Haman's, her tormentor's, head. And what do you want to bet he had dandruff too? And if that image doesn't put you off Hamantashen for the rest of your natural lives, I will eat my hat.
Thank you for that. I'm just going to point out that this hat is round. Our next speaker is County Executive Rich Fitzgerald. He's currently serving in his second term, having taken office as Allegheny County Executive in January of 2012, following 11 years on Allegheny County Council. As County Executive, his work has resulted in stable funding for public transit, the passage of legislation that has created funding in our roads, bridges, and infrastructure, increased passenger traffic and direct flights, and economic activity around the Pittsburgh International Airport. So thank you for that. Rich has also stabilized county finances while working to hold the line on property taxes. His hiring and appointments have resulted in a more diverse county government, which has really added to the county's strong economy. He continues to focus on working together as the key to success for the county, partnering with officials at all levels of government who share the goal of moving us forward. He's a graduate of Carnegie Mellon University with a BS in mechanical engineering and a minor in business. Thank you for your work with us. Mr. Fitzgerald.
We try not to emphasize that BS degree. We kind of leave it off. Now, when you invite, first of all, the first shock I have is walking into a place of worship, a sanctuary, and seeing Lynn Cullen standing up here at, do you call this a pulpit? Is that, okay, it is a pulpit. All right, we call it in, so I call it at St. Pete's. I want to make sure I had the right thing. The second thing I find is that you actually invite a guy named Fitzgerald the day of the St. Patrick's Day parade to pick between the potato and the dessert. Which one? Now I'm going to come at this at a political bent, if that's okay, being the politician up here. So I want to think about what will be the social implication of which one is better. Let's talk about health care. It's been in the news lately. Tim Murphy and Pat Toomey were actually supposed to be here tonight for their town hall meeting, but they didn't make it, so we're So which one is better for the nation's health? Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act? Which one? Which one do we think? Well, probably neither one, I guess, when you really come right down to it, but that's okay. So it is a good debate. It's a good debate to have, again, about public policy, about health, about what's good for the economy. What will put more people to work? Let's think about that for just a minute. One candidate claims we are going to bring back the potato mines, and they are coming back. Or the Hamantash mills are going to be coming back too, I promise you that. And they're going to be tremendous when they come back. You know, Rabbi Gibson sent me all the information this week to let me know about these two delicacies. Again, as I grew up in Pittsburgh, but I grew up in a Catholic household, so I wasn't knowing about these things. So he emailed me all the information. Unfortunately, it never did make it to my office, but the Russians do have it, and they will be forwarding it to me next week. So we'll find out about that. Thank you, Rabbi. I really appreciate that. It was good. Which one, the potato or the Hamantash? And you know, I mean, okay, I'm Irish, I like the potato, but I got to tell you, I'm a dessert guy. I love those cream-filled pastries. They're the way to go. So I know neither one of them are probably good for you. They're probably not, especially at night when you get a little hungry and you know you should be going to bed. But you know, it really is great to know that one of the things we have in this region that's special is food. It really is. And around all the cultural amenities that we have and all the very diverse backgrounds that we have, I think the one thing, no matter where I go, it's food. It's people are proud of their heritage and their food and what they have. So when I go to, this is fish fry season, by the way, so you need to know that. The Lenten season, for a politician to go to every single fish fry, they're pretty good. And the one thing they do ask you every time you go to St. Anne's, is ours better than St. Elizabeth? It really is, right? You know, they don't use the real good oil when they fry their fish like we do. You have to be very diplomatic and say, your fish is wonderful, Mrs. Jones. Your Father Ryan, your fish is the best. So I will say, being the typical politician, they both win. Let's give them both the trophy. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker, our next debater is Wasi Muhammad, who is the Executive Director of the Islamic Center of Pittsburgh. He grew up in Harrisburg and attended the University of Pittsburgh to earn degrees in neuroscience, the history and philosophy of science, and religious studies. Perhaps those are more aligned with this debate than you think. He's held several leadership positions in Pittsburgh, including founder and executive director of the Office of Served Student Civic Engagement Council, executive board director of the Resident Student Association, and director of the Food Pantry Program at the ICP. As I said, he's currently executive director of the Islamic Center of Pittsburgh and honored us by being the keynote speaker at last year's annual meeting right here at Temple Sinai. Please welcome Wasi.
All right, I gave up on the hat immediately. There's nothing I could do about that. Well, thank you, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. I'm hoping. Oh, you want this microphone? Oh, this one close. I'm sorry, the height thing. How we doing? Can you hear me? Okay, this is important. We talked about data, data-driven solutions. That's how I'm going to start today. Like they mentioned, my majors in college were neuroscience, philosophy, and the history of philosophy of science. So I'm going to stick to those subjects that I know a little bit about. The first is neuroscience. So I had never heard of either of these things until a little bit earlier. So it doesn't really come up in my tradition. So what I did was do some research. And one of the first things I came across, which I'm surprised nobody mentioned, was the University of Pittsburgh's Brain Institute study on Latke-Hamantash. It's a big foundational study. And first off, little neuroscience lesson, right? Like what makes things taste good? So how does taste work? So whenever you eat something, right, the first thing that happens, you have like these taste receptor cells in your tongue, and then from that, there's something called semaphorins, that are little transmission like molecules, right? They send a signal up to particular neurons in your brain that tells you what something tastes like, you see? So things taste good or bad depending on how that works. So they did this study, and they found that 99% of people who were surveyed just loved Hamantash, right? So much so that they had to create a new neuron that they called the Hamantash neuron, because usually it's just sweet, it's sour or bitter, but they're like, this is so good, it's got to be something else. So they just decided it's Hamantash neuron, right? So we got that one out of the way, and they also did a study, and they're feeding people latkes, and they're like, how do you feel? And basically everybody threw up and almost left the study. It was very difficult to get them to hold down, Hey, I'm giving the facts. I didn't tell you where I stand yet. That's all I'm telling you. So, but what they found is that sometimes those molecules, those semaphorins that send that signal, get screwed up, right? So whenever that happens, that's whenever somebody gets hit in the head and they used to love this food and now they hate it, right? And things like that happen, and people have diseases and disorders. So when that happens, that molecule, instead of going to the right neuron, right? Instead of like, say, going to the neuron that tells you that this is a latke and I should throw up, you know, it will go to a different neuron. So what they found is that 1% of the world population eats a latke and thinks it's good. Just 1%. And it's because of a disease. They have a disorder. Like, they just taste it and they think that, okay, this is going to a different neuron for Hamantash. So anybody who eats latke and likes it thanks the Hamantash neuron. You know, that's really the real reason. That is the first neurological study that happened. Second, just shortly, you know, there was and real like quick PSA though, if you think that latkes taste good, please contact your family physician immediately after this. There's a good chance that person's in the room right now. It could be quick. This is really important for y'all to address. Another study, just to shortly touch upon, that's also being conducted right now. The subject of the study's identity has to be confidential because it's not over yet, but this one suggests that excessive latke intake might cause significant brain damage. Sorry, be careful everybody after today. And it could also turn you orange, you know? So the latter is a confirmed symptom. You do turn orange, but the extent of the brain damage is being studied over the next 2 to 6 years, depending on how 2020 goes. So we're gonna review that and come back to it, but brain damage is likely. You know, there's some level of it. Aside from the neuroscience and the science, right? Like, let's move on to the philosophy, you know, like the bigger questions of life. And it's interesting. I wanted to point out that a lot of you may not have heard of that study, despite it happening down the street, and there's a reason for that. And I'll go over it at the end, but just keep that in mind. Second is why I want to talk to you about a couple quotes and why you haven't heard the rest of these quotes. For example, one of these famous philosophers, Rene Descartes, you know, said, "Cogito ergo sum." I think, therefore, I would never eat a latke. Or we can look at Socrates, you know, who said, "The only thing I know is that I know nothing, and that Hamantash is better than latke." So I just wanted to touch upon those, but I wanted to focus on a more contemporary scholar, right? From Los Angeles, now of New York, formerly of Chicago, the Zen master, philosopher Phil Jackson. I don't know if you all have ever heard of him. So Phil Jackson, as long as being a philosopher, was an NBA coach. And he won 13 NBA championships, 11 as a coach and 2 as a player. And you know how he did that? Running the triangle offense. Just saying, just saying. So, when asked, how did you come up with this? What inspired you? He said that originally I had my players running around in circles, you know, and everything was flat. You know, like nobody was excited, it was awful. And then I had a Hamantash after one day in the locker room after a rough game. And then he won 1,200 games. And he said, I owe all my success to the Hamantash offense. Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan helped a little bit too. And when they asked Michael Jordan why he retired in the middle of his career before returning only a few years later, he said that he accidentally tried some latke and needed some time to recover. So we all understand how those wins happened and how the Zen master got his name, the noble Hamantash. Finally, right, to end off, philosophy of science, major number 3. Pitt's paying off. This is finally it. I get to use my degree. This is the first time. So I couldn't figure out, after looking at all these philosophers and looking at the science and looking at everything, how is this still a debate? You know, it's pretty one-sided. Like, everything kind of leans towards one direction. Like, I've tried to be unbiased this whole time. And Hamantash seems to be the clear winner. And I looked into it, and then I didn't get it until I read this book called The Merchants of Doubt by Naomi Oreskes and Eric Conway. So this was a book that explains how a loose-knit group of high-level scientists with extensive political connections ran effective campaigns to mislead the public and deny well-established scientific knowledge for over 4 decades. So essentially, these physicists from the Manhattan Project and other places So what they did is like having a PhD. They go on TV and be the contrarian to everything as long as somebody paid them enough, right? So they did big tobacco, acid rain, ozone hole, global warming, DDT, and Latke, of course. Obviously, this is where it's all coming to. If you read the book, it's in chapter 8. Has anybody read the book? Perfect. So what happened is that, like, I just came to it. I was like, all right, now we figured it out. When tobacco, they're trying to convince everybody that secondhand smoke wasn't a big deal. All they did was hire a bunch of experts to show up and say that, oh, secondhand smoke doesn't know everything. I'm a doctor. You should believe me, right? They didn't know anything. They weren't even doctors. They weren't MDs. They were physicists. However, it worked, you know, as long as there's somebody on the other side and they paid them enough, right? Now it all makes sense. So every single person who chooses the other side of this argument sides with Latke, is either part of that 1% with that brain disorder and should talk to a physician. That's one. Or they're in the pocket of big Latke, the Latke lobby. Just say it. I mean, you gotta say, there was one politician here today who takes campaign contributions. He went to one side. I didn't run for nothing. I'm just here to spread some knowledge. So they've been lying to us for centuries. And, and what I've realized, and to close today, right, this might be the last thing I ever get to say to you. This is difficult for me, you know? Like, I've been researching the Latke industrial complex, and it's dangerous. I don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes, but the last thing I want to leave with you is that before anybody else speaks, and while you think about this debate and who should win, just think about it. I didn't take $1. I'm just here for y'all. I want you all to be okay. I just want you, if you have that disorder where you think that this is a reasonable food to eat, get it checked out. And if somebody else tells you the other way, read that book later, much later. And read those chapters and see that they're just trying to trick you. And hopefully our children's generation will never have to be forced to endure something like that little potato thing ever again. And Hamantash is ruled today. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
It's my privilege to introduce our next speaker, the Honorable William Pedo, Mayor of the City of Pittsburgh. He was elected mayor in 2013, having previously served the city he loves in other roles, including on our city council. He's dedicated his career to preserving the unique character of Pittsburgh that so many of us love, while making sure that we work together to make Pittsburgh a place that works for all. He spent his time in office really putting people first, investing in affordable and mixed-income housing so that no one is left behind. He's worked with stakeholders to invest in our future by providing summer employment opportunities for youth. He's helped to address food insecurity through the city's free after-school meals program serving children and people with disabilities. He's also been investing in our communities to keep us safe, hiring many police officers, firefighters, and building inspectors. As our economy's changed, he's had a direct hand in community-based development, tying our economy to our vibrant neighborhoods, and he's created far greater transparency in our government. He's working really hard to change the trajectory of the city, to bend the arc, and as he comes forward, let's thank him for all he's done tirelessly. And I know this because this is the second event where I've seen him in 2 days. Thank him for all he's done and all he'll be doing for the city of Pittsburgh.
It's always great for a politician when your introduction is longer than your speech. I got to tell you, this is pretty much the most difficult speech I've given as the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh. I'm a Catholic boy and I love a good Latke. I had not even heard of a Hamantash until I had to prepare for this. I think I went to high school with someone named Hamantash, but I wouldn't know, and I don't think that I've ever had one, but I may have. They look an awful lot alike Italian Christmas cookies, which would then be another common ground between the Jewish community and the Italian community, other than a mother's guilt. So I don't have a basis of knowledge to be able to choose one or the other. So what we try to do in city government is we've moved to a data-driven decision-making process. the ability to look at issues through the lens of how does it affect Pittsburghers, but at the same time, what are the critical issues that we're trying to address? So you want to have as many buckets as possible to be filled in making a decision, and that decision being able to have an effect over the whole. So in looking at this, we had to look very, very closely, and I had my whole office working on this for a week. We found the 10 most important issues affecting not only Pittsburgh today, but the very future of the city we love. And we wanted to find out how it could be analyzed in order to make a decision. I thank you. That's good. That's really good. So, 10 issues. Number 10, which is better to eat on a bike? Good energy. We got fruit, carbs, but the Latke, the potato versus the pastry, not as messy. So we're going to give that one to the potato. Which is better to fill a pothole? The Latke has good texture. Good city water. It has good texture, but it's soft. Pastry can be used, can be put. The fruit will attract squirrels. People will run over the squirrels, and the squirrels will fill the potholes. Which would be the best substitute for the Pittsburgh parking chair? Hamantash, fanciful little three-cornered treat. Latke, good, wholesome, blue-collar potato meal. It's a Latke. Which is the easiest to remove from Dan Gilman's beard? The fruits get mixed in with the beard. There's red and there's other colors, and it kind of gets difficult. The potato you can comb right through. Which city council candidate would make the best dish? Now, many of you probably know that I'm supporting Erica in this race, but for God's sake, Sonia Finn is a James Beard Award-winning chef. Of course she would. Which would be the best companion food to PWSA water? Well, the Latke salt would nullify the chlorine levels, but the pastry hides the taste. Number 4, which one did we send to Amazon? I'm sorry, I can't tell you. Number 3, which one sticks better when thrown at the Sprint billboard on Mount Washington? Well, the Latke has oil, and that's really good, but the sign's made out of vinyl. But if you have enough strawberry little pastries, it starts to look like a Verizon sign. Number 2, which one is better at stopping landslides? Neither. Landslides are acts of nature. We have hills, people. They slide. And number 1, which is better as a substitute for plowing snow off our streets? Well, it's true. The Hamantash will leave a nice little trail, so you'll know the plow has actually been on your street, but it's the salt that melts the snow. So with that, the total is 4-3. Peduto supports the potato.
Our next debater is Rabbi Sarah Perman, who is the Rabbi Emerita of Congregation Emmanuel Israel in Greensburg. In addition to her rabbinic degree from HUCJAR, she's a graduate of Goucher College. She's a frequent fixture at Temple Sinai services. And appropriate for this evening and her defense of, and this is a spoiler alert, the Hamantashen, she suggested I point out that she loves to bake, typically at least once a week, and she even brought the chocolate gluten-free Hamantash for this evening. Also, this is not traditional academic headgear. It's a little bit of a carryover and just missing the umbrella, I think. I don't know.
I'll tell you when, okay? I am thrilled to be part of this debate. After last year's debate, where except for Wasi Muhammad and Rabbi Gorban, I felt the Hamantash got short shrift and did not deserve it. Because without question, Hamantash are more Jewish than latkes, and also better, way better, and I am determined to prove it. Although Toby Tabachnik already started the discussion and gave some arguments for it. There are traditions that suggest that the triangular shape of the Hamantash represents the three major components of Judaism: God, Torah, and Israel. You should forget that Christians might connect the Hamantash to the Trinity. The Hamantash is definitely Jewish. Look, if you superimpose one Hamantash over another, but reverse one of them, it becomes a Star of David, the symbol of the Jewish people. The Hebrew word for Hamantash is Oznei Haman, and you can see it up there on the screens. Ears of Haman. The root for ear is found in the word ha'azinu, which is the name of a Torah portion from Deuteronomy. It means pay attention, give ear. It can be a synonym for Shema. As you probably know, the Shema is the first prayer we teach to our children. It is recited both in the morning and in the evening, and is supposed to be the last prayer we say before we die. Thus, the Hamantash, or Oznei Haman, remind us of what many consider to be our most important prayer, or what those of us raised in classical Reform Judaism know as the watchword of our faith. The three-sided Hamantash reminds us of our patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The three sides also remind us of the 3 times of day we are supposed to pray: the morning with Shacharit, the afternoon with Mincha, and the evening with Mariv. The three-cornered Hamantash is also a symbol of our 3 major holidays: Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot. I would even argue that the 3 sides of the Hamantash are reminding us that Passover is coming with the 3 matzot. What does the latke remind us of? Nothing. No biblical ancestors, not other Jewish holidays, no worship, although others might argue otherwise tonight, and we shall see what they have to say. Even the creation story suggests that Hamantash are the best. After all, the 3rd day of creation is described as Tov twice, hinting that indeed Hamantash are Tov, good, really good. And the repetition occurs on the 3rd day, an allusion to the 3 sides of the Hamantash, suggesting that God not only approved of the Hamantash, but also was encouraging us to make them. Latkes have no history in the Tanakh or Bible, not even in the book of Maccabees, which is in part of the Bible. But there are plenty of examples of pastries suggesting Hamantash in the Tanakh. In Genesis 40, Pharaoh's baker is imprisoned with Joseph. True, the baker was put to death at the end of the story, but what would the Pharaoh know about Hamantash? In Jeremiah 7, we read how in Judah and Jerusalem, the children gather sticks, the fathers build the fire, and the mothers knead dough to make cakes for the Queen of Heaven. Although Jeremiah tells us God does not like this, still this is a clue that the people were learning to make Hamantash. Perhaps God didn't like those cakes because, sometimes they're not always perfect triangles. Or perhaps God was upset that the Hamantash were going to the Queen of Heaven instead of being shared as Mishloach Manot. And think of it, we are encouraged to share our Hamantash through Mishloach Manot. It is even commanded in the Megillah that we are to send portions to one another. There's no commandment to share latkes. Of course, the Megillah itself has plenty of connections and hints of the Hamantashen. The Hamantashen with its 3 sides also reminds us of the 3 women who are named in the Megillah: Esther, Vashti, and Zeresh, who was Haman's wife. Traditionally, Hamantashen were made with poppy seed filling. The poppy seeds are a reminder of the 10,000 talents of silver paid by Haman to Ahasuerus to kill the Jews. As I mentioned previously, the Hebrew for Hamantashen is Oznei Haman. The word Oznei, ears of, is a form of the word ozen. Thank you. Or ear. This reminds us of Mordecai overhearing the plot by Bigthan and Teresh to kill Ahasuerus towards the beginning of the book of Esther. If you remember the story, Mordecai was not rewarded at the time for his loyalty to the king. And only after Haman had plotted to kill the Jews was there a night that Ahasuerus could not sleep and learned that he needed to reward Mordecai, asking Haman to do so. The Hamantashen, or Oznei Haman, is hinted at when Esther hears of Mordecai being in mourning over the king's edict to kill the Jews. But there are some other connections of Hamantashen to the Tanakh. Face it, the Latke has not only no connection to any of the Tanakh, it also is unstable. It will roll away, while the Hamantashen with its 3 sides is very stable. Latkes are really good only fresh out of the frying pan. Hamantashen, though, have a much longer shelf life. They travel well, to which I can attest, since I recently packed close to 4 dozen in just a plastic container and took them on a cruise to the Caribbean to share with conservative colleagues, since it was what is known as Purim Katan, the little Purim that occurs in the first Adar that we had with a Jewish leap year. There were a few of those Hamantashen left over, and even after 3 weeks, they were still edible and tasty. You can even eat Hamantashen right out of the freezer. Frozen latkes, though? Ugh. Latkes are only really good right out of the frying pan, as I said. And still, Hamantashen, without question, are better. People liked Hamantashen, perhaps loved Hamantashen so much they made monuments to them. The pyramids found in Egypt and even Mexico are monuments to the Hamantashen. The Romans cut their pizza in the shape of triangular Hamantashen. Why else would we have had pizza tonight? And did you know that there is a Hamantash on the back of a dollar bill? Whoops, wrong one. There, you see? And it has an eye filling. Buckminster Fuller may not have been Jewish, but his famous geodesic dome, as my colleague Henry Shapiro noted, is a tribute to the Hamantashen, since Fuller discovered that if a spherical structure was created from triangles, that is Hamantashen, it would have unparalleled strength unless one ate all of the Hamantashen. Do you have the picture of the dome? There we go. See all the Hamantashen? The variety of Hamantashen we see these days, both sweet and savory, as Toby mentioned, show the creativity of the Jewish people and our diversity. As an example, one could argue the multicolor ones show the support of the LGBTQ community. There you go. Beyond poppy seed, prune, apricot, cherry, and chocolate every year, we see new and wilder varieties. The most interesting one this year, I thought, was this one. Are you able to play the video? I sent a video. It didn't come. Well, let me describe what the video was. It's okay. It is, you take a piece of pastry dough, okay? I think it was pastry dough, and you use a large bowl to cut out a circle. And then you fill the external part of the circle, the rim of it, with Nutella. And you fold it up and roll it around and make the triangular shape. And then you take this huge amount of chocolate and place it into the center. So you get a Hamantashen that is bigger than this, I can tell you from looking at it. I did not try to make it. And the recipe that is on the internet actually will make 2 of these, and you have enough probably to feed like 16 people. And since we're supposed to eat it at Purim, it's certainly an appropriate kind of dish and something new to try. By the way, the ones in the lower right corner are a green mint Hamantash, if I remember, chocolate mint Hamantash. The ones in the upper right have crushed peppermint candy. The ones on the upper left are a triple chocolate. The ones in the center are pistachio. Oh, I apologize. The ones on the lower left are the candy cane ones, and the ones on the upper right are just with sprinkles. So obviously there are a huge variety. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, the Hamantash reminds us of Torah. Remember I said there was still more to connect the Hamantash to the Torah. How, you ask? Now I need this picture. Nope, there, okay. The Hebrew letters of Oznei Haman equals 163. And I gave you what the value of each Hebrew letter is. If you switch the numbers, you get 613, equal to the numbers of the laws in the Torah. And as we learn, Talmud Torah Kedneged Kulam, the study of Torah overall, Hamantash above all else. What more proof do you need? Thank you.
Our next debater, if you come to services frequently here, needs no introduction, for he probably has greeted you on your way in. Mike Gordon is a native Pittsburgher who lived in Squirrel Hill until the age of 5 before moving out to the east suburbs, and he graduated from Churchill High School in 1982. Those of us who work at Alderdice will not hold it against you. And received his Bachelor of Communications degree with a minor in journalism from Penn State in '86. After college, he worked in a variety of roles for the Pittsburgh Pirates from 1987 to 2000 before taking a position with Major League Baseball, where he is still employed. Mike enjoys playing ice hockey. You may have seen the Gordon family's front yard rink on Beechwood Boulevard, weightlifting, running, reading, and listening to music. He's also a part-time fitness instructor at the JCC. He's been married to Darcy for 21 years, and the couple has 2 daughters, Rebecca, 18, a freshman at Cornell and an Alderdice grad, and Dora, 14, who's a freshman, who's a first-year student. We're trying to get away from the gendered terms here at Pittsburgh Alderdice, and the Gordons have been at Temple Sinai since 1997. Please welcome Mike Gordon.
It is one of the great honors of my life to be included among these esteemed panelists to participate in this spirited debate. And while I offer my most sincere congratulations to each and every one of you, I must say, in the most forthright manner possible, that I've come here to defeat you. And to once and for all, resolve the age-old question of Latke versus Hamantash, a subject of the utmost importance to not just those of you in this room, not just the Jewish people, not just all the inhabitants of this earth, but dare I say, even to those in a galaxy far, far away. Nice. Now, I know you're probably thinking, here comes a big Star Wars themed speech, right? Well, that would be appropriate given the timing, but let me assure you, it's not going to be that. You might also be thinking, wait a minute, Mike Gordon, he of but a single bachelor's degree, will present a more compelling argument than a renowned scholar, a leading rabbi, a distinguished public servant, and a prominent physician? That's preposterous. Well, preposterous I shall be. Because while each of my colleagues does bring impeccable credentials to this debate, I bring a story that none of them know. A story that's never been told before. And a story that's a complete fabrication. But still, when you learn that in my imagination, one of the preeminent artists in the history of music actually advocated for the Latke, there will no longer be any need for a debate on this subject. You see, in the fall of 1964, the acclaimed American jazz pianist and vocalist, Nat King Cole, decided he wanted to do something just a little bit different for his next album and include a song called Latkes, Latkes. Now, you may be aware that Cole had already released several Christmas songs, including his infamous version of Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire. Did you know that was coming? But now he was aiming to do something truly unforgettable with his career. I said unforgettable. See what I did there? All right, you got to keep up with me, folks, right? Unforgettable? All right. Anyway, back to the story. Cole takes a demo recording of his Latke song to a meeting with executives at Capitol Records. And he springs upon them this crazy idea to include it on his new album. Needless to say, those Capitol bigwigs, they were just a wee bit skeptical, but this was the legendary Nat King Cole after all, and they figured they had little choice but to humor him and listen to his song. After hearing his magnificent song, the Capitol execs realized they had a problem. You see, after one listen, they knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that Nat King Cole's Latke song was going to be a surefire hit. And not just any hit either. It would be a huge one that would sell millions of records for them. There was just no doubt it was that good. So, what was the problem, you might ask? All right, let me rephrase that. What was the problem, you will ask? Thank you so much. The problem was this hat. It's coming off. Well, seeing as you did ask, and you did, the problem was that Capitol Records had other artists under contract too. And they knew that if the Latke song hit the market, the demand for it would be so overwhelming that they wouldn't be able to sell any records for their other big-name artists like Dean Martin, Dinah Shore, Frank Sinatra, and this new mod group out of Liverpool, England called the Beatles. Actually, they weren't really all that worried about the Beatles because they figured that ragtag bunch probably wasn't going to sell many records anyway. But they really were worried about their other artists who clearly would suffer once this Latke song reached the ears and the wallets of the public. So, after huddling together privately, the record company folks explained the situation to Cole, and they asked him if he could write a different version of the song. One that would still be popular, just not as popular. Make it a love song, they said, and bring it back. Then we'll put it on the album, and everyone will be happy. And in the end, the Once Upon a Time L-A-T-K-E-S song did get a rewrite, and it became the classic L-O-V-E song. You all know it, right? Well, let's fast forward 55 years to tonight. And you might ask, that's your cue, Mike, whatever happened to the original Latke song? Well, seeing as you did ask, wait till I turn this on. Hello. Hit it, Ellen. L is for the lights of Hanukkah. A is for the aroma that makes you say, ah. T is for those terrific tasting tater tots. And K is for the keys that unlock every flavor that I savor. Latkes are all that I can give to you. You know that you can't eat just one or two. Frying in oil is how I'll make them. The extra ones, I'll let you take them, 'cause Latkes are made for me and you. This is why you're here. Come on. L is for those lights that never stop. A is for the applesauce on top. T is for the texture, crispy's best, that's my conjecture. And keys are how you unlock every flavor that I savor. Latkes are what I want to make for you. It doesn't matter if you're a Gentile or Jew. In bubbly oil, that's where I'll lay 'em, with love, just like my booby made 'em. 'Cause latkes are made for me and you. Oh, latkes are made for me and you. Yeah, latkes are made for me and you. Ladies and gentlemen, Ellen Keeney on the piano. Thank you.
Our last debater, if you've been at Temple Sinai for a long time, doesn't need any introduction either. It's Rabbi Larry Friedman. He is thrilled to be back here in his home of Pittsburgh, where he and Deborah raised their two boys, Ethan and Lev, made a lot of friends, and delighted in the community for 10 years. Rabbi Friedman has served as the associate rabbi at Temple Sinai of Roslyn in New York for 4 years, and then here at Temple Sinai for a decade, before moving on to Newton, Massachusetts, and then on to Newburgh, New York, where he was there for 10 years, 15 years, 11 years. Happy to have you back. And he also taught at Crane Lake Camp for the last 11 years for a week for each summer, teaching spiritual leadership and an honest approach to teaching Israel. And most recently, he's been a chaplain in the New York Air Guard for a while, holding now the rank of lieutenant colonel, where along with the entire chaplain team, he serves 6 Jews and 1,000 other of every other religious background. Rabbi Friedman is currently the director of JJEP, and we welcome him to our bima.
Feels good. I wrote something thoughtful. I can't compete with this. I don't know. It's a lot of pressure. I'll do my best. I rise today as a man returning home, or if not home, as one must be 3 generations Pittsburgher before one can be so bold, then at least as one who is made to feel at home by so many good people who care about me and my family, and who have truly made us all feel at home. There are nods of awareness in the crowd, I see, and there are those still unsure as to who this guy is. Let me say that I am the guy who has dedicated my professional life to resisting the dilution and disappearance of the Jewish people, a fight whose outcome is anything but certain. And it is here in the Berg that I look to make my stand, to wave the flag of blue and white with as much gusto as I wave the black and gold. It is here that I choose to take a stand and do my part for the preservation and advancement of the Jewish people in this corner of the world among the 3 rivers. How do I plan to do this? Why, with the Hamantashen, of course. Yiddish for Haman's pocket. In Israel, it is Hebrew Oznei Haman, Haman's ear. Regardless of the allusion to ear or pocket, it stands as a metaphor for how we can survive. The perfect equilateral triangle. 3 equal sides represents Judaism's classic and enduring composition of God, Torah, Israel. There are moments, side 1, there are moments of godliness where when we engage the world of the spiritual, of prayer and meditation, connection to something larger than ourselves, we lean on our liturgy to offer time-worn words of comfort. We lift our souls to the melodies of new songwriters. We see the world and understand that because all of it is God, we, as part of the universe, are godly. Side 2, a moment of Torah, and add richness to our lives with study and thoughtfulness and intellectual fervor. We study the Parsha and find new meaning each week. We mine our ancient texts, and we rejoice with creative novel practices. We, the people of the book, ask questions always and forever. Then we move on to side 3, Israel. This powerful sense of peoplehood. It is the thing that makes us feel in common with the Jews of Australia and the Jews of Ethiopia in equal measure. It is the comfort in being in the great synagogue in Florence and understanding nothing until we hear Shema, and then we understand everything. It is the thing that makes me feel at home when in Israel, when to be sure I am an outsider in all rational sense of the matter, but I feel like I am home. Peoplehood is the thing that makes us take pride in the Jewish Nobel Prize winner and feel shame at the Jewish tax felon. And then we move back to side 1 of the Hamantash, the side of godliness. Our lives as Jews are a constant happy wandering from side to side to side. A little holiness, a little study, a little culture, and on and on. God, Torah, Israel, these are the boundaries that define the life of the Jew. God, Torah, Israel, this is all a Jew needs, all a Jew is. However you imagine your Jewish life, it is some combination of God, Torah, Israel. The 3 sides of the Hamantash are the structure of the Jew. And here is the best part, the true secret that no latke can overcome. The Hamantash is no Hamantash without the center, the filling, that which gives it verve and life and vibrancy and poignancy. Without the center, it is a fine, if uninteresting, dough. With the filling, it soars and brings joy and meaning and richness and texture to our mouths and our lives. And here is the best part, the true secret. You are the center of the Hamantash. There is cherry, there is poppy seed, there is prune, the classic fillings of our ancestors. But wait, Jewish expression evolves. There is also chocolate and peanut butter and marshmallow fluff. There is pineapple and date and Nutella. I have seen pizza-flavored Hamantash, boozy-flavored Hamantash, savory cheese Hamantash. At Sinai, there were 600,000 Jews, every single one similar and every single one unique. And so it is with the Hamantash. Each the same, each different. Every Jew is a Hamantash, living with structure and at the center, unique. I challenge you, how will you live out your inner Hamantash? How will you rejoice and revel with the 3-sided heritage of God, Torah, Israel? And how will you give it your own style, your own take, your own flavor? Be the Hamantash. Be your own Hamantash. Live the life of the ancient and ever modern Jew. Be conservative with the dough. Be liberal with the filling. Respect our heritage. Be creative with your expression. Be the Hamantash. And that is why the Hamantash is the most superior of all our delicacies. Thank you very much.
And one more time for Rabbi Larry Friedman. And let's give them all a rousing applause. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You will make the decision about whether it is latkes or Hamantash at this time. Thank you so much.
Just a quick note on behalf of Temple Sinai. We wish you all a Chag Purim Sameach and go nosh some Hamantash, and may you, even during this pandemic, remember how important it is to keep smiling and laughing and helping others to do the same. May all your latkes be crispy and hot, and may all your Hamantashen be full and sweet.